If you've been thinking about buying a cottage, waterfront home, or recreational property, this video is for you.
We are Matt and Michael from the Webb and Young group, Remax Hallmark Che, and this is the Real Estate Roundtable. Owning a recreational property is something a lot of people dream about. Whether it's spending weekends on the lake, relaxing around a campfire, boating, fishing, or escaping to the ski hills in the winter, it's an incredible lifestyle.
But buying a recreational property is very different than buying a home in town.
Yeah, there are a lot of things to consider, and honestly, we could probably make several videos on this topic alone. Today, we just want to go over some of the bigger things buyers should watch out for before making an offer.
So let's start with talking about financing, because this surprises a lot of buyers. Not every recreational property qualifies for financing the same way as a traditional home. So lenders may look at whether the property is seasonal or for season, whether there's year-round road access, what the water source is, what type of septic system they have in place, the foundation type, and even what the primary heating source is. So depending on the property, you may need a larger down payment, or you may just have fewer lending options.
Before you start shopping, it's always a good idea to speak with a mortgage professional who has experience financing recreational properties. Getting pre-approved is exponentially important, but getting pre-approved for the right type of property is even more important. So let's also talk about water supply. The next thing to understand is where your water is coming from. Many cottages draw water directly from the lake, while others may have drilled or dug wells.
If the property uses lake water, ask how it's treated. Does it have a filtration system? Does it have UV treatments? When was the water last tested? How old is the pump? Is it designed for year-round use? So understanding the water system before you buy can save you from unexpected repairs and expenses later on. All right, so another thing that you'll want to understand is the wastewater systems. Does a property have a conventional septic system, or is it on a holding tank? So holding tanks are really like smaller septic systems. They hold on to the waste and they need to be pumped regularly. So that's an ongoing cost you'll want to budget for.
Absolutely. If there's a septic system, ask how old it is, when it was last pumped, and whether it's even been inspected. It's one of those systems you hope never has problems, but if it does, it can become a very expensive repair. Let's also look at foundation types now. So sometimes buyers often overlook the type of foundation the cottage is built upon. Unlike homes in towns, cottages can have poured concrete foundations, concrete block, stone foundations, preserved wood foundations. They can be on piers, or they can even be built directly on bedrock.
Each foundation type has its own advantages and considerations. An older stone foundation may require ongoing maintenance. A pier foundation can work perfectly well for a seasonal cottage, but may not be ideal if you're looking to live in the home year-round. Preserved wood foundations can also perform very well when they're built properly and maintained, but there's also something that you'll want to understand and have inspected. It's also worth knowing that some lenders and insurance companies may have additional requirements depending on the foundation type. All right, so this is probably one of the biggest areas of confusion we see with waterfront buyers. A lot of people assume that if a property is advertised as waterfront, they automatically own all of the land right to the water's edge and can really do whatever they want along the shoreline. And that's not always the case.
No, one of the first things you should find out is whether you actually own to the water's edge. Some waterfront properties in Ontario have what's called a shore road allowance between the property and the water. In some cases, that strip of land is still owned by the municipality or the Crown. unless it has been legally purchased by the homeowner.
You should also determine whether you actually own the waterfront or if you simply have right of way or deeded access to the water. There's a big difference between owning waterfront property and having illegal access to it.
Absolutely. You'll also want to understand your riparian rights. Those are the rights that generally come with owning waterfront property, such as access to the water, enjoying reasonable use of the shoreline, and where permitted, installing a dock or a boat lift. These rights can still be affected by municipal bylaws, conservation authorities, environmental regulations, and of course, provincial legislation.
So if you're planning to build a dock, install a boat lift, improve the shoreline, build a boathouse, or store your boat at the shoreline, make sure those uses are actually permitted before you buy. These are all things realtors and lawyers should help you investigate during the buying process.
Absolutely. One other topic of discussion is road access. Another thing buyers sometimes overlook is road access. Is the property located on a municipal road or a private road? If it's a private road, who maintains it? Who plows it during the winter? Are there annual road maintenance fees? Is there a road association? These ongoing costs and responsibilities can have a big impact on your ownership experience.
Shared driveways are fairly common with recreational properties. There's nothing wrong with that, but you want to make sure there's a registered easement that clearly outlines everyone's rights and responsibilities. Knowing who is responsible for maintenance and access ahead of time can save you a lot of headaches later on.
Absolutely. Heating is another area buyers don't always think about. Is the property heated with propane, natural gas, electric baseboards? Is it forced air, a heat pump, or is it heated with a wood stove? If you're planning to use the property during the winter, you want to understand the operating costs and make sure that the heating system meets the lender's requirements and insurance requirements.
Insurance is another item that deserves a closer look. So insurance companies may ask how often the property is occupied, how it's heated, how close it is to a fire station, whether it's on an island or whether it's left vacant for long periods of time.
Another important consideration is whether the property is located within a regulated floodplain. Some waterfront or low-lying properties have a greater risk of flooding, which can affect both the availability and cost of insurance. In some situations, certain types of flood coverage may not even be available. Being located in a floodplain can also impact future additions, renovations, or redevelopment because conservation authorities and municipalities may have additional regulations and requirements.
It's always a good idea to get an insurance quote before removing your conditions and ask whether the property is located within a regulated floodplain. That being said, there's a lot of research that can be done by your real estate agents to ensure that you're knowledgeable about the floodplains.
And another point of consideration would be short-term rentals. A lot of buyers tell us that they plan to rent the property when they're not using it. Before you count on that extra income, make sure it's actually permitted. Many municipalities have short-term rental bylaws, licensing requirements, occupancy limits, or restrictions that could affect your plans. Some cottage associations also have rules regarding rentals.
For sure. So this is probably one of the biggest things we see buyers overlook. People fall in love with the view without really thinking about how they'll actually use the lake.
Definitely. One of the first questions we ask buyers is, what do you want to do on the water? Do you picture boating every weekend? Do you want to water ski or wake surf? Would you rather go kayaking or paddle boarding, fishing, or simply just to take a dip in the lake?
For sure. So believe it or not every lake allows motorized boats. Some smaller lakes prohibit them altogether, while others have horsepower restrictions or other regulations designed to protect the environment. If boating is important to you, don't assume it's always allowed.
Absolutely. If boats are permitted, always ask whether the water is deep enough to accommodate the type of boat you own as well. Can you leave your boat rather at the dock all season is another question you might want to ask. What is the fluctuation with regard to water levels? Is there a public boat launch nearby?
Then take a close look at the shoreline itself. Is it sandy? Is it rocky? Is it weedy? Is it shallow enough for children to swim? Does the property experience shoreline erosion? Is it exposed to prevailing winds that could make docking more difficult? Remember, you're not just buying the cottage, you're buying the lake and the lifestyle that comes along with it.
100%. One other consideration is also going to be internet and cell service. That's one final thing that people often overlook is the internet and cell service availability. If you're planning to work remotely or stream television, don't assume service will be there, as it's not always the case. Find out what internet providers are available, what speeds you can expect, and how reliable the service actually is.
Now, these are just a few of the things buyers should watch out when purchasing a recreational property.
There are certainly plenty of other things to consider depending on the property, things like conservation authority regulations, zoning, environmental protection, water quality, docks, boathouses, bunkies, shoreline setbacks, and future redevelopment potential. They can all play a significant role.
The goal of this video wasn't to overwhelm you. It was to simply make sure that you're asking the right questions before making one of the biggest purchases of your life.
Absolutely. When you do your homework and understand what you're buying, owning a cottage can be one of the most rewarding investments you'll ever make.
If you're thinking about buying a cottage or recreational property in Simcoe County or the surrounding area, we'd love the opportunity to give you a hand.
We certainly would. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below with another topic that you might like us to cover on a future episode of the Real Estate Roundtable.
Thanks again, everyone, for watching.
And we will see you next time on the next episode of the Real Estate Roundtable.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.